guess as I've heard so many of the ideas and the opportunities that are here, I'm wondering, would we be looking at now at a time to create a mission statement or set a couple of the goals? And if we were, what struck me as probably a good start for the mission statement would be in the legislation in 67-1402A, which is the purpose of this authority, which would be to make the Commonwealth a national and global leader in nuclear energy, and also to serve as the study, research, and information resource for the Commonwealth. And that the two parts of that, if that were a mission statement, would be a couple of our major goals. One in the leadership in the industry, some of the things such as the inventory that Jerry pointed out, and those kinds of objectives or strategies could fit in there. Some of the study research, I know we talked quite a bit about the needs that would be needed there. Could be some strategies there. And then maybe the third goal could be the administrative goal, where we could put some strategies in about creating the consortium, some of the other drafting of bylaws for the authority, those types of things. And so that just occurred to me as maybe a structure that we may be able to follow. Also, a second thing is that with the election for governor that's not too far off, there'll be opportunities over the next couple of months for transition work to take place there. And it may be that the authority could include some strategies there to reach out to the new administration to let folks know the kinds of things that I talked about here. And then the third thing, the legislative session is coming up, but the Virginia Energy Plan will be updated by July 1st of 2014. And there is a section on nuclear power in that plan, and that also could be something that would be fairly near term that the authority would want to look at to be able to provide input into the updated Virginia Energy Plan over the first 6 months of the new administration of 2014.
It's just one of the housekeeping details that I know we need to attend to fairly quickly, and I didn't know whether you wanted us to perhaps point a group to work on that, or whether just how you thought we might approach that. And I'm also wondering about how often we probably ought to meet. I'm just thinking these administrative organizational details to make sure that, because we've got so many great ideas on the table, clearly so much work to do, that I'm very anxious to sort of get our organization up and running and formalized and certain, so that we can get about the business we were created to do. Do you have thoughts on all that, or do we need to discuss that as a group?
Well, I certainly would like some input from the group on the direction they're going ahead, but I do, we could draft some frameworks of bylaws for the board to consider the next meeting. We would send those out beforehand so that everybody would have the opportunity to put your input into them, so when we come to meet, we can have a discussion on them and then have the final bylaws adopted by the board. I don't know if the board, given the November 15th deadline, which is a Friday, there's an opportunity for the board to perhaps meet again before then. Perhaps that would be where we could adopt the bylaws, where we could review the strategic plan as it is, that will be submitted to the General Assembly, and a couple of others, those detailed items, adopt a mission statement. I had a good suggestion on that, but really kind of formalize a lot of the information that we've had here, that you all have been great in contributing to, because we really are starting at the ground level today. Without the board taking action, it's difficult for the staff to really guide that, and then also what other items you might want to put on for the next agenda item. So I don't know if that week works for folks or not to meet, but
will say, to lean again on the wind authority, we did for probably the first 6 months of their existence meet monthly. And that was pretty critical to really getting them established. And I know, I mean, there are a lot of awfully important people at this table and on this authority, and I'm thrilled that they're here. And I don't know if that's too much to ask of the group, but it occurs to me that, particularly given the discussion today and the importance of the issues we've been talking about, that a monthly meeting for the first few months might be the right way to start. Don, what do you think?
Well, I just had a couple of things in looking at this. I mean, for example, we have a nominating committee. We're probably going to have a chair of that. We're going to have to decide whether or not members of the nominating committee candidate recommend themselves to run for office, and then what their schedule is, which obviously needs to be done pretty quick. And I would guess we're talking probably no more than a couple of weeks. I don't care. I'm a big believer of who, what, and when. And then I was jotting down how this might want to run. I see the need for probably 4 subcommittees or immediate committees, and maybe even this order. We need to have our mission statement and goals. And typically these things are not written well in a committee. You usually assign 2 or 3 of the board to go off and write something, then they send it out a few days later and everybody comments on it. Then you can create and get something that you can bring to consensus or essentially agreement. And we need the bylaws after that, because we don't want to be structuring bylaws until you can start with the draft until we know what our goals and missions are, because the bylaws will support that. And then the third thing, given our schedule for November 15th, is we have to have a strategic plan committee. We have to have a schedule to support that. We have to have an activity where we start creating that out of our mission statements and goals. What is our strategic plan? How are we going to go about meeting that? What are we going to do? How are we going to structure that? And the last thing would be the actual formation, if you will, for the non-stock corporation by 1/1/14 committee, which would be the 4th. So right away, I look at these things in a sequence and look at stuff that we have to do by November 15th and by January 1st. We have a number of things we need to assign coming out of this meeting here, respective when we meet again. Arguably, the vast majority of our work, Madam Chairperson, will probably be done before we ever come together again. Simply because of the scheduler issues we're looking at.
But we also need to make sure that we're aware that we have to, all these meetings need to be public meetings. So the more that we can have these meetings, perhaps committee meetings in the morning before the full board meeting meets, or the afternoon before, to help coordinate schedules so that you're not having to come to Richmond, or we can coordinate a public space in another part of the Commonwealth where people are. And we've got people from all over Virginia, and some people that have to fly in and out of the state to go to different offices. So, just want to be really cognizant of it to make sure that we're being respectful of people's time, but also conforming with the freedom of information.
Well, and Carrie, sort of maybe finding the space between Donald's thought and yours, and sort of what I know to be our limitations in terms of actually meeting in between meetings. Perhaps it would be easier for you if we did maybe volunteer to work on bylaws or strategic plan or mission statement, and then you could simply send out to maybe 3 or 4 people instead of the entire group all of the documents, and then we would bring them back that way and discuss them at the next meeting and adopt them.
Yeah, we still have to, you can sign it and people can send me information, we just can't get a document.
Right.
So we have to do it.
Are we allowed to create product in a draft form outside of the public domain and then approve it in the public domain?
Individuals can work on anything that they want to work on and submit that information to, and if there's discussion of members or change to the work of the board, that needs to be done in an open meeting.
Understand what I'm saying? Could we have a subcommittee or a committee of the board that creates the draft, sends it out, gives comments, and then comes to the board meeting in the public domain?
If that committee meets, that meeting has to
To
be
be a
public.
public, right.
So Carrie is really our drafter.
I think I'd kind of like to offer an alternative, something kind of maybe a little bit further the other side than Don. I think for in the beginning we can take our mission statement right out of the legislation. I think we can take you can draft off of that some of the bylaws and the things that get to it. Not to say they won't be amended in the future and maybe as early as right after the first year or something. I think we've had enough kind of discussion today of a strategic plan that to me really focus on,
I think you're correct, most of this information is just kind of taking the legislation and reconfiguring it, adapting it to our discussion today, and then sending it back out to you all. So you have a lot of opportunities for thoughts. You all can send, when I send out information to you, you can send that to me, your thoughts, and then we'll have a full, robust discussion at the next board meeting when we're all here together, so that we are in compliance with FOIA. The way we operate in a transparent way, to make sure that all of this is done in a public forum. But I think that's a good suggestion for next steps of how we get there. And, Mr. Hallman, to your point, while we have that requirement for the strategic plan to the General Assembly, I think given the time frame that we had the appointments made in our first meeting, that I think their understanding of, and even the law didn't go into effect until July 1, so I think we have a little bit of flexibility and some understanding for our first report, but we don't want to lose our energy off the bat in trying to get as much work as we can do, because we really want to have a solid framework to lead for the next administration and for this authority to be a success.
I certainly agree with that, if I may say so, and I didn't mean to start stuff to put it together outside the community. I would want to see it all in Justice Mountain, so, okay, we'll start working with you and putting all these things together, but I guess I'm unaccustomed to having legislators have any flexibility or any reasonableness about them at all, so maybe I must be dealing with the federal too much, where they're kind of like, no, this was the schedule, did you not understand it when I gave it to you, so.
And we'll meet that schedule. We'll meet that schedule. We'll have something to submit to them, but I think they'll understand the, what, level of detail we'll be able to provide at this point of the game.
And I think you probably identified some of the committees that you will want to form once we've elected officers and adopted bylaws and moving forward, and establish sort of our working committees for moving forward.
And then you can have the opportunity to have those committee meetings before you have the full board meeting, and then have a larger discussion. It really helps facilitate discussions. You're not having to do everything here at the board level for different interests and different areas. A couple of folks that had signed up, so I'm going to offer that each one of those individuals can have up to 3 minutes to speak. And